Welcome to Seltzer Squad, the podcast about staying sober in the city, with your hosts, Kate Sander and Jess Valentine.
Hey, Kate. So someone in our Facebook group made a joke saying that you never finish books. So I'm just curious, have you finished any books lately?
So I believe the last Audible ad was talking about Blackout, and no, I haven't finished that one. I often don't finish books, but I don't feel bad because I'm just listening. I'm currently listening to a book on emotional childhood neglect called Running on Empty, and if you guys sign up to audibletrial.com/seltzersquad, you can get your first month for free and listen to books haphazardly like we do.
The best part about listening to a book on Audible is it's kind of like a podcast. You can drop it at any time and pick it up anytime. So definitely use our promo code and get your first month free.
Hello, Jessica.
Hey, Kate. Oh, jinx.
What do you want to do today?
It's been a really long time. I think that we owe everybody some hot mess stories. What do you think?
It's been a long time.
It has. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
It's been like a winter without hot mess stories.
I noticed that. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'd love to read
Who are
some.
we?
We have quite a few.
I know. All right. Why don't you
Want me to start? Okay.
With Elle?
Yeah. Okay. Elle writes.
Go for it.
My husband and 2 sons went down to SoCal to spend some time with friends for the weekend. I had to stay because of work, so I had this brilliant idea to have a fun-filled day of sister time with my younger sister. We talked about having a real chill day and evening due to the fact that most of the time when we're together, we end up with multiple bottles of wine and garage time, which included very loud music and dancing for no one. Okay. So we discussed going for a hike and then making some dinner. She got to my house and the farmer's market was going on, so we decided to go there to grab some things for dinner. We walked with the idea that we were going to do something healthy. Still every intention to have an adult day. Well, we got there and we decided to go to the wine bar and have a mimosa, which turned into several mimosas. And then we went to the bar next door and had some additional drinks. Before we knew it, we were lit and we walked back to my house. We then proceeded to clear out my fridge, which was full of beers, and had another brilliant idea to go to this wine bar and have more drinks and appetizers. So we called an Uber and went and ended up sitting there for another 4, maybe 5 hours drinking wine and talking to strangers and making friends. The reason we did this was to leave the reason we decided to leave was not because we were wasted, but because my sandal strap broke and my sister asked the manager for duct tape and she had duct taped my shoe together, which did not work. So we left. Come to find out, the people we made friends with paid for our bill on just another embarrassing side note because we just left. Oh, they just ditched? Okay. We took an Uber back to my house where a friend of mine was waiting for us and we continued to drink again. Mind you, we started drinking at 10 a.m. and it was already 9 o'clock at night. Within a few hours, my sister disappeared into the night and my friend left and we passed out. The next morning is when we realized we did not pay the bill, and I was able to locate the people because I took down their phone number in my phone thinking we were going to be best friends forever, LOL. These types of stories I'll probably never forget, but I'm also completely horrified. Both me and my sister became sober this January, and while we can laugh at the stories, we still cringe at the same time.
Okay, I'm going to read C.
Wait,
all right.
Have you ever left and not paid your bill? I don't think I've ever done that. I probably have.
I don't think so, but if I did, then I would have had a card down. So
True.
But
I've definitely left my card for sure.
Yeah, which it gets ran, whatever. So, that's a hard question. Though.
I'm usually profusely apologizing and paying way extra when I'm hammered.
I was gonna say I feel like I'm always over tipping. So,
but I guess they had a conundrum
forget.
with the sandal breaking, so maybe. It was a distraction.
They were distracted. Yeah. I don't know. I think also just being a bartender, it's not to forget to pay your tab, but right. I don't know.
Nabes.
All right. So C writes, so we were in Vegas for my friend's wedding. I was one of the bridesmaids, and at the rehearsal dinner, I was for some reason never served any food. Okay, that is very strange. I did, however, make sure to take advantage of the free booze and drink a ton of vodka crayons, which resulted in me blacking out for the rest of the night. I wake up the next morning in my hotel room with my friends, and they are talking about how much fun the -5 bar was. FYI, it's an ice cold bar where you have to wear a big coat and everything is made out of ice.
It
Oh, I
sounds
know
like a
that
fucking
bar.
nightmare.
It's Red Square, I think was the name of that one in Vegas. It was like a Russian vodka bar. I told them I couldn't believe they went without me, and they responded, "What are you talking about? You were with us." Yeah. So apparently we all went to the bar after the rehearsal dinner, and I didn't even remember a thing. So as I'm still recovering from the hangover, the next day we are walking around the strip, and this man in a penguin suit walks up to me and says, "It's nice to see you sober." I had no idea who this penguin was. I asked him what he's talking about, and he says, "You were so messed up at the bar last night."
Wow.
Then it dawned on me he was probably in a penguin suit promoting the bar I didn't remember going to. But I will say there was no weirder feeling than a random ass penguin walking up to you and you having no idea why he is talking to you. I'm happy to say I just celebrated 100 days sober, and I'd like to think that that penguin would be happy to hear that.
Oh, that's my worst nightmare, is somebody walking up to me after the fact and being like, "You were so fucked up."
I mean, it just happens, right? I don't know.
I mean, they would always be like, "You were having a good time," and I'd be like,
yeah,
dead inside
that's like
with
the
embarrassment.
nice way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember being
yeah.
like, when you used to DJ, I think I went a couple of times and got super hammered. And the next day you or Annette would be like, "Well, you look like you were having a great time." And I would always be like, dead on the inside, because I'd be like, "Well, I don't fucking remember."
Oh, but like, if we said that, I would, like, it just meant like you were having fun.
Yeah. But like, like, if you're blacked out, you're like, "Fuck, did I do something stupid?"
Yeah.
The worst.
I know.
All right.
Oh, I'm so glad those days are behind us.
Me too. I miss dancing though. All right.
Same.
E writes, on one of the last normal days of our lives, remember those, in 2019, we were at my sister-in-law's house for the 4th of July party. Booze was aplenty. I was a beer drinker, but we didn't bring our own booze, and there was a ridiculous amount of wine there, so I hopped on the wine train. Spoiler alert, I'm not a good wine drinker. I drank too much, too fast, and got stupid. The night went on, and I kept tripping over steps, falling on my ass, and doing embarrassing things one does when they've drunk too much. I was probably the only person wasted at this event because literally everybody seemed to control themselves, which I doubt, but I made a fool out of myself in front of my husband's entire family. But that was just part one. At my lowest point, I was sitting on the dock at her house, ignoring the humans. Spoiler alert, I did pre-read this as we were going through the emails, and I was like a little scared at this point, but this is a great story. Okay. At my lowest point, I was sitting on the dock at her house, ignoring the humans, and the cutest little kitten in the world started rubbing my legs. I fell in love immediately. My husband came over to remind me that I'm very allergic to cats. I told him I'm not allergic to this cat. I thought it was a stray because my sister-in-law didn't know whose it was. We asked. I remember playing with this cat and ignoring every single person in the entire family. Then I blacked out. Fast forward to waking up the next morning in my bed with the worst hangover possible ever. A swollen face, a small asthma attack, and 20 messages from my pissed off sister-in-law and our stolen kitten meowing in a box by my bed. My husband told me that I had refused to leave the house without the cat. I told him that I would sit in the driveway with the cat and that he could leave without me or we could both go home, which feels like a Kate Xander move all the way.
Right.
I was trying to figure out in my semi-drunken mind how to get to the store to make a home for our new kitten who might kill me, but that I loved. My happiness turned into sadness when I checked my messages and saw it was my sister-in-law telling me that we had legit stolen the neighbor's kitten and he was very interested in us bringing it back. She was so pissed. I lied to her and I told her I didn't have the kitten, but my husband had already given us up. We had to drive almost an hour each way to bring this guy his cat back. In the end, I lost my baby that might have killed me, all of my dignity, and the respect of his entire family. I may be never able to happily play with a cat again, but I'm also so happy to be sober. You girls helped me a lot. Thanks so much for the pod. Oh, it's also like my dream to find a baby cat.
I feel like that's not really a hot mess. She didn't do anything embarrassing.
Well, like as I read this, I was like,
sad.
Why was this little kitten out in the wild?
That's what I want to know too. It's like, oh, this neighbor cares so much about his kitten that it's outside.
Right. Running around. Yeah.
No. Negative. Yeah. No, I'm 100%.
Yeah, I don't think that's a hot. I mean, yeah,
you deserve that cat.
You did get hammered, so I guess it's a hot mess story, but like humanitarian efforts.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay, I'm reading S. This one's a little long, so let's see. Me and some girlfriends went to Mexico to celebrate one of their birthdays. Of course, when it's someone else's birthday, I'm on a mission to get as drunk, if not drunker than the birthday girl herself. I'm sure the day was filled with far too much tequila and some flimsy bars in Rosarito. But it's all pretty dark and fuzzy. The night comes and I am obliterated. But that doesn't stop me from putting on some clothes and going out to embarrass myself. We run into a good looking group of guys. One thing leads to another, and I'm in a hotel pool having sex with one of them,
Whoa.
with one of the said good looking guys. Oh my gosh. I come out of my blackout to a security guard yelling in Spanish at us, shining a flashlight on my naked ass, having sex in this pool.
Uh-oh.
Come to find out the pool is closed and we are trespassing. I climb out, probably looking like a clumsy seal emerging from the ocean. I cannot find my underwear anywhere. I squeeze back into my romper and make my way back to our hotel room. I'm sorry to whoever have found my underwear the next day. Me and a friend pass out in the boys' room and wake up to 10 plus missed calls from our friends in our room upstairs. They let us know someone had fallen asleep in the bathtub and flooded our room. Oh no.
God, I thought they were
Me and
going to
my
say somebody
friend
drowned.
Yeah, me and my friend thought they were pranking us to get our asses out of bed. So we take our sweet time getting up to the room, stop, and took a few shots at 9 a.m. Oh no. We finally get to
Jeez.
the room to see the manager and one of our friends arguing in Spanish while standing in 1 foot of water.
Oh, no.
They're trying to kick us out and charge us with damages for flooding the room. Meanwhile, all my stuff is floating around in this dirty bathwater, outfits, makeup, and all.
Aw.
Obviously, I continue drinking. They end up upgrading us to a nicer room. Not sure how this happened because it was all in Spanish. Once that all comes down, I show my friends the hot guy I had sex with in the pool. Come to find out he's from the same town as us, and it's a small ass town. And his Instagram is full of pictures with him and his fiance. Needless to say, there was lots of shame. This was 5 years ago, and I can laugh about it now. But damn, I'm happy to be sober.
Hot mess retiree.
Damn. Yeah, right? Oh my God.
Oof, that would be hard. That'd be cringe for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh.
All right.
Ay.
I am going to read M. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Love the show, and hot mess stories have helped me realize I'll be okay. Yeah, duh. Okay. Okay. She has 2 stories. I think I'm going to read just the first one. This happened just the other night. I was a guest at a wedding, and at this point, I've been shit-faced for 3 days. On the 3rd night, we had dinner at a nice restaurant and went to the casino afterwards. The mother of the bride had given me a nasty look because she thought I was going to cut in front of her in line, and I guess I held on to that in my subconscious for the rest of the night until I blacked out. Cut her in line for what? Not sure at what point, but I started talking shit to the bride's mom and most likely everyone else and caused a big scene. I know this because the groom told me I was unacceptable and everyone needed to cool off. Uh-oh. I feel like we're missing some details. I woke up a couple hours later in my hotel room and decided to walk back to the casino at 4 a.m. to gamble some more, but luckily they were closed. Who goes back to the scene of the crime? Also, I was too embarrassed to leave my room the next day to buy food because all the locals had seen me blacked out the entire trip. I would rather starve. I have done so much worse, but this time I will be forever remembered as the drunk friend who talked shit about the bride's mom at their wedding.
Oh, that's pretty embarrassing.
Could be worse, not to like minimize, but meh.
I mean, it depends on how often you're going to see the bride's mom, I guess.
Yeah, if you're not related, like you might not even be friends in 5 years.
Should I do one more?
Yeah, do one more.
Okay, I'm going to read F. I was living in a small town a couple of hours north of San Francisco. In an effort to support my tandem habit, love addiction, I figured it would make sense to get a nice hotel room in the city and line up a few dates over the weekend. Oh my God, it's amazing. In the hustle and bustle of packing, dropping off my dog, and making the long drive, I was running late and was stressed. So naturally, I grabbed the bottle of cold white wine I had in my bag, cracked it, and proceeded to chug a lug. I only drank half the bottle while driving, but knocked back the rest as I was speedily getting ready and trying to look cute for my date. I'm dripping like this. She's like, I only drank half the bottle while driving. Ma'am.
Jesus, ma'am.
Oh my God. I'm dripping with sweat at this point, by the way, but I did manage to pull myself together. I met my date at a nice upscale restaurant.
God.
Dinner and a play is the plan. He's educated, composed, really into theater, and clearly has money. I know this because he keeps dropping little hints about how well off he is. Side note, I grew up somewhat poor, and although I live a good life now, being around rich people has always made me uncomfortable, especially when they don't seem very empathetic, or worse, look down on those who come from less. I was getting the feeling he was unfortunately one of those people. Anywho, we have
It couldn't have been that you showed up drunk to the date.
Good point. Okay. Anywho, we have a couple rounds of champagne with our meal and everything is cruising along fairly smoothly. But I've had roughly a bottle and a half worth of wine/champs at this point. So you know the hinges are about to come exploding off. We get to the theater. Oh, this is all before the play. We get to the theater and order more champagne, of course. They give it to you in these big plastic sippy cups so you won't spill it. We take our seats in the dark and closed theater. I instantly become super anxious, claustrophobic, and restless. I do not want to be here. So I keep slurping on my big mug of champs. Intermission happens, and I'm trying to convince my date to leave, suggesting we go settle up at some cool dive bar so we can just go and relax and talk. Not happening. He's totally into the play. I, on the other hand, have no idea what is even happening with the play. I do, however, excitedly convince him to do a round of shots at the tiny makeshift bar in the lobby before we go back in. Totally normal, right? I actually blacked out when I saw Wicked, so I have no idea what happened. We brought a flask in. It was problematic.
Did you get rowdy?
Seats. I don't think I was rowdy. I just think that I spent a lot of money on second row seats that I don't remember at all. We take our seats, and at this point, I mean, it's Broadway. I don't really, can't really get rowdy, right?
Right. I don't know.
Yeah. We take our seats, and at this point, I'm launching into outer space, aka a full-blown blackout. Did I mention I'd hardly eaten all day, and dinner was oysters and a salad? Cool. Yeah, that's not dinner. This is where my memory gets a bit hazy. Apparently, my behavior became super erratic. I went to the bathroom several times. I'm pretty sure to pee, and I have a blurry memory of doing more shots by myself. Oh, honey. The people in the seats around us were not stoked, to say the least. They kept having this scrunch their legs up every time I bumbled out of my seat to go back to the lobby. Yeah, that is the worst. I was moving around a lot and kept trying to talk to him about God knows what. At one point, I actually yelled out, At one point, I actually yelled out really loud, "That's fucked up," at the actors on stage during one of their scenes, and everyone in the theater looked over at me.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. I came to in the cab as we were pulling up to my hotel. He was silently sitting there as I was telling him how rude he was for not talking to me. I slammed the cab door and made it up to my room somehow, then proceeded to text him about what a snob he was. The story of the evening cringingly goes on as I ended up hooking up with another one of my Tinder connections that night. But I'll leave it there for now. In the morning, I read his reply recounting everything that had happened in the theater and cab. He thought I was totally whacked out on drugs, which I guess I was. Alcohol is quite the drug, isn't it? This is one of many skids to my many bottoms. Cut to 4 years later, and I'm humbly sitting here writing this at 4.5 months sober. I'm incredibly grateful for you ladies and your podcast.
That's a good story.
Oh my goodness. It was a good story.
I enjoyed that she got a second wind.
Yeah. Well, you always do, right? My first time getting wasted was also at a Broadway show. So, I feel like we should leave on that. We should end on that one.
And that's all for today.
Yes. Until we meet again.
Be nice to yourself.
And don't forget.
Hangovers suck.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. Every review helps other listeners find us. Music by Dead Go West. Art by Kate Sander. For show notes and resources, check out seltzersquad.com.